All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Into the Stands, episode 20. Yes, we're already here at episode number 20, alongside our great crew of Colin and Chris. I'm Robbie. And before we start today's episode, we have a great episode planned for you guys. By the way, we got MLB opening day, perfectly aligning with our great show here at Into the Stands. But before we start, we have a big announcement. We leaked something on my Instagram, and everyone interpreted that very interestingly over the course of the past few days. But we have a big announcement. First of all, appreciate it with Cam, and shout out to all the guys at WR for helping us make this big event happen. April 27th, circle your calendars, ladies and gentlemen. WIUR NFL Draft Special hosted by us at Into the Stands from 7th till the end of the first round. I cannot believe I actually get to say that. It's amazing that we get to do this. But with a project like this, we can't do it alone. That's why we are bringing multiple other shows and possibly someone you guys have seen on the stream before to help us with this incredible event on April 27th. It's going to be insane. We'll keep reminding you guys about it over the next couple of weeks, but that's the first big announcement from us, April 27th. Chris, your thoughts on that real quick?
Yeah, well, obviously our big event of the year. I'm really excited for it. Like Robbie said, we're gonna get a lot of special guests on the show. So if you guys are interested, if you are, you do have a show on WIUR, please sign up. You don't have to be there for that long if you don't want to, but we just would like to have special guests to talk about, give their knowledge on the draft and college football in general, and what those players are going to impact, how those players are going to impact their teams, and also it's a great way to advertise your own show by going on there.
Yeah,
and getting people to know what you're about and what you like to talk about.
It's incredible that we who started as three freshmen here at Iona get to host a big event like this, and
yeah,
it's incredible, and we can't wait. I believe it's like 4 weeks away from the big day. But Colin, you got anything notes on this before we dive into opening day?
Hey, just going into the guest aspect, I mean, I'm sure no one wants to really hear us talk for 5 hours straight. So guests are very well appreciated, different voices out there. The NFL draft first round is always a very exciting time for me. I always enjoy watching all the picks, hoping that the Giants can maybe make a good selection there. Hopefully a receiver. We still have to wait and see what happens. But yeah, definitely excited to react to that pick and more live. So 4 weeks, mark your calendars.
So let's dive into the actual big event from today. After all that news, we have more news to talk about. It's MLB opening day, and let's dive into the games that have happened so far. The story begins in the Bronx, where the first home run of the year, who else would it be by? Who else would have wrote a better story than Aaron Judge starting off our season with a nice home run, his first of the year. Yankees with a good result over the Giants today, taking the first of that series. Chris, your thoughts on that result for the Yankees and how big it was for them to kick off their season with such a strong start?
Yeah, well, first of all, that was a bomb by Aaron Judge. I know, obviously, it looked like it wasn't going to leave, right? You thought maybe it'd be a fly out to shallow. You thought maybe it'd be a fly out to dead center. But that's the deepest part of the yard, one of the deepest left center field areas in Major League Baseball. And it got out. Wasn't a great pitch by Logan Webb, but still has a good sinker. And I mean, Aaron Judge, what a way to start the year. I mean, that's storybook. That's a great way to start off a new contract. But it doesn't really end with Aaron Judge. Garrett Cole was dominant today, absolutely dominant. I think it was 11 strikeouts in 6 innings, no earned runs. They couldn't touch him. He was incredible today. Anthony Volpe made his major league debut, and I think the last time we talked, this decision was made Sunday, so we didn't get to talk about this. Anthony Volpe got called up. And I want to talk about him for a little second, just because just a small second, because what Anthony Volpe did this spring training can't go unnoticed. It really can't. It's what he did was so special. Not many players that you don't see many prospects making the decision easy for their teams, right? The Yankees said that it was going to be that the shortstop position was going to be a competition between IKF, Volpe, and Peraza. And Anthony Volpe made that decision very easy for the Yankees. They made that, he made them. He made that decision very easy for them. I mean, IKF was as IKF. Oswald Peraza. It's not that he did necessarily poor this spring training, but Anthony Volpe was stellar. I mean, doing everything, flashing the leather, stealing bags, hitting home runs, great adjustments too. I mean, there was one game against Pablo Lopez, struck out the first at bat and then hit a home run. I mean, you got people, former Yankee legends, saying great things about this guy, Willie Randolph, I think Paul O'Neill as well. This guy's just such a great character. Calls up Brett Gardner. Didn't need to do this, right? Because the Yankees gave him number 11. He didn't need to do this, but he calls up Brett Gardner himself. And Brett Gardner, being the great guy that he is, wished him best of luck in that uniform number, and was completely on board with it and fine with it. And I understand, character may not matter all that much. I mean, of course it's important, but it may not, right? I think everyone would rather take a guy who's very talented over a guy who's just, says the right things. But what Anthony Volpe has proved with his character is that he can live up to the task. He can live up to challenges. And every challenge that this guy's been presented with, he has dominated. He's been absolutely amazing at all levels of the minor leagues, in spring trainings. And, I think I'm not saying that this guy is going to be a superstar. I'm definitely not thinking about the Yankees retiring number 11 or him possibly, being a superstar yet. But he definitely very encouraging. And I think his character is going to go a long way in helping him get that superstar status.
Yeah, starting off with Volpe, obviously, a lot of fans were hoping that he'd get called up. We thought that, it may not happen considering the way the Yankees usually don't call up players at a young age, but it ended up happening. And I can just say that for all of us were very relieved because we knew we had to get an upgrade at that shortstop position. We knew we had to somewhat have some sort of change, some sort of infusion of talent into that lineup. And I think Volpe really does bring that, being a guy who kind of a 5-tool player. He can really do it all. He brings great speed to shortstop for the Yankees, can have a contact hitter, power hitter, field really well. He can really do it all. So seeing him there in pinstripes for the first time was really cool to see. And, you got a great ovation from the fans.
Yeah.
We saw Aaron Judge get a huge ovation too, obviously coming back, signing that contract, being the captain, and obviously hitting that first inning home run. Definitely a great way to start the year. And, hopefully he can just kind of continue what he was doing last year. But taking a look at the greater scheme of this game, yeah, as you said, Garrett Cole, great performance, having the most strikeouts for Yankee ever on opening day. But on top of that too, Logan Webb, he gave up runs, but he also, I believe it was 12 strikeouts for Logan Webb. So he, was being able to get for that Yankee lineup. And hey, even Josh Donaldson got a hit. So go Josh Donaldson. That usually doesn't happen very often. But then we also saw Ron Marinaccio, who's another player I want to highlight here, throw almost 40 pitches for the last 2 innings of the game, not giving up a run. So, the Yankee bullpen in general is kind of a question mark, but I think Marinaccio is a guy who I'm looking at possibly being a good option throughout the year because he did pretty well last year as well. So, where do you go from here? I think just continuing just to kind of let Volpe develop, at shortstop. It's obviously a very demanding position. I mean, one thing that was cool, though, was when they made that announcement that he got called up. You saw Derek Jeter tweet, there's nothing better than being shortstop for the New York Yankees. It's kind of a storybook sort of occurrence, right? Because also like Jeter, or he grew up a Yankees fan. No, unlike Jeter, Volpe is actually from the area. He played his high school ball in New Jersey, but yeah, I think that if anyone was kind of born to be the Yankees shortstop, it's this kid. And, wearing Brett Gardner's number, obviously I didn't think that Brett Gardner's number should have been retired, but, it's kind of strange seeing someone else wear number 11, considering how long Gardner's been there for. But, obviously, Gardner it was a very crucial part of this team, and now seeing Volpe wear that, it's definitely cool. Hopefully we can see Jason Dominguez maybe soon. I mean, I know he had a good spring training. It's unlikely we'll see him this year, maybe if he does really well in the minors. But yeah, just continuing to have that infusion of youth. That's what this Yankee team needs going forward, and I think that they got off to a pretty good start.
So as we continue, there's some other results we want to talk about real quick. Other results from today so far: Atlanta getting the job done against Washington. A little bit of a concern from Atlanta. Max Fried threw 43 pitches. Why? I don't think anyone would understand the logic there, but ex-Yankee Lucas Lecky got the win today despite pitching 1 inning and allowing a run, which is amazing. They won. Braves take this one 7-2. Ozzie Albies had a good game. Travis d'Arnaud had a double, another ex-Met. Sean Murphy had grounded to double play. There's a walked-in run. It was a little bit of a messenger side, but unfortunate. But there's a game currently live right now. You can see on whatever network you can. Boston is coming back against Baltimore. It's now 10-8 in the bottom of the ninth with first and second. We'll come back to that game in a moment. There's one thing I want to highlight, and I just saw an Instagram thing about this. Hunter Green threw a fastball that registered 105. Thoughts?
then that's the record. Or that ties the record with or another.
105.2. I have the video, but unfortunately we can't play live because we don't get to edit this type of stuff. But that's absolute madness.
Yeah, actually, I didn't know that. It would then I believe
I'll show it to you.
I'm
real quick.
not sure if it yeah, wow.
It didn't look like 105 at all.
I'm not sure if
It was so nonchalant.
I'm
Like,
not sure if that was faster than former Red or oldest Chapman's 100-mile.
I like more like 103, 102.
Yeah, if there was a guy,
I said Jordan Hicks do stuff like that.
If there was a guy who was going to do it, it was him. That guy's fastball is insane. But yeah, highlighting other games here, the Cubs and Brewers game. The Cubs won 4-0.
Did you see how quick that game was?
It was very quick.
2 hours, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous. That's the new age of baseball that we're going to start seeing. I'm not a big fan of it. The games being shorter like that, but by that much, it makes. I mean, we get discounted tickets to go to like sport. I think it was like the Mets. I think it has like $10.
Sure.
I think it was the Mets,
Maybe.
But gave like discount tickets. Like some teams might be charging more for games like that. So I think that's pretty unfortunate. But there's some other games to note as well. Tampa Bay getting the job done against Detroit. It's currently 4-0.
I mean, yeah,
Jacob deGrom is getting rocked by Philadelphia again. So I mean, some things never change. Jacob deGrom losing to Philadelphia. Nothing's changed. It's currently 5-0 in the fourth. But yeah, the Blue Jays have a lead as well. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to talk about today. It feels great that baseball is finally back. We actually get to talk about live baseball that's not WBC related for the first time. It's actual Major League Baseball since our World Series stream back in October or November. I don't remember when it was. That's absolutely ridiculous. But it feels great to be back with baseball. But staying on the topic of baseball, we'll get to some notes on some of these games in a moment. It is time. We've said we've done this before. This is our legitimate official ones. Our official MLB's predicted standings and awards. We're doing it for real this time, people. We've done something similar. I think it was back in January, like one of our first streams back. This one's for real because we actually know who's playing for each team and who's going to be like the everyday starter at most positions. So we'll kick it off with the divisional standings for real. I don't know what part this is, to be honest with you, but we'll start off with the American League East. I'll go with my standings first, and you guys can chime in on this as well. In fifth place, I have Boston, even though they're playing Baltimore pretty good right now. It's 10-8. I feel like that's been a fun result, but I don't think Boston has enough firepower. They have Corey Kluber starting opening day for them. I think that's already a red flag on Boston. Will they win a lot of games? I don't know. We'll really see how it comes down to and what pitching depth that they actually have. So Boston finishes in fifth. Coming in fourth, I have Baltimore. I am disappointed in Baltimore. Once again, I said this back in January, and I'll say it again. I am disappointed in Baltimore. They could have done more. Kyle Gibson was their opening day starter. That's disappointing enough. I got Baltimore in fourth. Close to a wild card, but I don't think they have enough pitching depth to do it. Coming in third, I have, interestingly, Tampa Bay. Actually, it's not really interesting, but it works for here. Shane McClanahan's an absolute beast. Tyler Glasnow, I feel like he's going to have a good season as well. Drew Rasmussen, I feel like is poised for a big season for him as well. I love the front three. They have some younger prospects coming up. I think they have a lot of potential. Their offense, I think, is atrocious. And I feel like if they did more to their offense and actually spent more, actually they have Zach Eflin in the rotation as well. I feel like if they added more to that offense, I could see them coming in second. But I just don't feel like they have enough firepower on the offensive side to do much other than the return of Wander Franco. Let's see if he can stay healthy for a full 162 games this year. Coming in second, I have Toronto. Once again, bullpen is still a mess in Toronto. Jordan Romano, I think, is going to have a solid year once again. I feel like he's the closer of the future for that team. I think they could have done more in the road. I mean, they got Chris Bassett. That's about it for the rotation, unless I'm forgetting somebody. I think they could do, once again, could have done more in the rotation and bullpen. I think they could have done a lot more. 90 plus wins. Don't be shocked if they get that. But it's really going to come down to, will they choke in the playoffs again? That's really what it's going to come down to. And winning that division, I have the Yankees. It's different than what I originally said back in January. But I like what the Yankees have done so far. Judge looks good already. Volpe looks kind of better than I expected, even though he stole a base. He drew a walk in his first major league at bat. I really did not get to talk about him enough. All green flags so far from there. And Garrett Cole looked good to start the year. Let's see if he can stay consistent. But I have the Yankees, Toronto, Tampa Bay, Baltimore, Boston. Chris.
Well, I pretty much have the same thing except one change. I do have Boston coming in last, like you said. Yeah, Corey Kluber starting opening day. Chris Sale has not pitched very much, and he's not pitched very well recently in the past couple of years. James Paxton is a guy who also has not pitched very much at all. I don't even know what the rest of that rotation is looking like. That's how Yeah, like, he's another one. He's okay. I mean, he's got shows flashes, but overall has games where he's terrible. The bullpen, they improved that. They got Kenley Jansen. They got Chris Martin. They brought in Masataka Yoshida to be their left fielder. They brought in Justin Turner, who, despite getting hit in the face, is a very underrated player. I think he's underrated because he's getting older, but he's still a very solid hitter. And going to Fenway, I think he could be very solid there. But on the bad side of things, on the flip side, the starting rotation is weak. The lineup lost some big bats in Xander Bogaerts and JD Martinez. Despite JD Martinez kind of not being what he was a few years ago, he was still good. Trevor Story is hurt, so they're not at their full strength, and it's a weak team overall. But they have some firepower. I'm not gonna say I think this is the best division because every team has a case to be solid. The Red Sox, their case is, I mean, like the guys that they added, they still have Devers, Verdugo, guys like that. Reese McGuire's their catcher. I mean, like they have Tristan Casas. Like overall,
Their pitching's atrocious.
yeah, but I mean, it's you. If they do succeed, you can see why. It'd be Chris Sale having a bounce back year, Corey Kluber being solid. So, but I think they're gonna finish last. I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs this year. Coming in fourth, and this is where I understand I understand why people would pick against this, but I'm gonna say the Rays come in fourth and the Orioles third. I don't usually do this. I don't usually jump the gun on players on teams like this that showed flashes last year, and just because they have youth, expecting them to win. For example, I don't have the Diamondbacks doing very well. Some people have them as a sneaky team. I personally don't yet. But the Orioles, right? They played very well last year down the stretch, and they did it with pitching. It's not this young offense that everyone talks about, and it's still there. And now they didn't add a superstar, but I don't think they necessarily I mean, I think they needed it, but I don't think they're in a very bad spot at all. I mean, I don't the game is still going on, I think. Oh, they actually just won today. They just won the game. Red Sox.
Baltimore officially won 10-9.
10-9, right? Pitching. You're facing the Red Sox at Fenway opening day. I think they're going to pitch very well at home in a now pitcher-friendly ballpark at Camden Yards. And they're calling up. They have Gunnar Henderson. I think pretty soon they're going to call up Grayson Rodriguez, who's a stud star pitcher, future star pitcher. And they have Adley Rutschman, who absolutely balled against Boston today. Cedric Mullins is still there. Ramon Urias. It's a good little team. Yeah, it's a good team, and I'm gonna say they come in third. I don't know if they're gonna make the playoffs, but I'm gonna say they come in third. In second, I got the Blue Jays, as you mentioned, right? They weren't getting the headlines like the Yankees or the Mets or the Padres, but they made some big moves. They brought in Dalton Varsho, which I thought was a terrific move. That guy is very good.
They traded Teoscar, which sucked. They traded him to the Mariners for who did they trade for? Jesse Winker?
No, Eric Swanson. That was a move that was interesting, but they got better marginally, right? They had a lot of right-handed bats. They wanted to get more left-handed, so they bring in Kevin Kiermaier and Dalton Varsho. They bring in Chris Bassett for the rotation. This Blue Jays team, it's a combination of nice additions, good players, and then some players who have chip on their shoulder, right? Vlad Guerrero was not at his best last season, I'm pretty sure, but he was still good. Jose Barrios was terrible last year and has not looked good.
Not as great
right.
As well.
So, I think this year they could put it all together. They still have Alek Manoah and Kevin Gausman in the rotation as well. So that's a great team. I think they're definitely going to have a tight race with the Yankees, but I am going to say the Yankees win this division. The Yankees didn't do much to improve the lineup, but I think playing Volpe, I think he's going to be a huge spark at the bottom, maybe working his way up to the top of the lineup. They keep promising us that Josh Donaldson's going to have a bounce back year. Aaron Boone said it like a million times. He said that's his pick to have a bounce back year. Let's see it. Let's see Donaldson have this bounce back year. He's apparently in the best shape of his life at age 30, 38, whatever. Let's see it now. Let's see Judge do at least close to what he did last year and help bring this team to the playoffs. And Cole, hopefully he could be a Cy Young contender. So it's still a great team. a lot to prove, but I still think the Yankees are the best team in this division, the second best team in the American League. So I have the Yankees winning the division.
Yeah, I made this specific division pick when we did our predictions last time. I'm going to stick to what I had before, meaning that I'm going to start off with the Boston Red Sox in 5th place. Obviously, they had a pretty bad year last year after being, kind of a perennial contender, but still losing Xander Bogaerts, losing JD Martinez. I mean, you still had Yoshida, but I just expect that they're going to be kind of in a rebuild now for a couple of years. 4th place, going with Tampa Bay Rays. This is a team that once again, kind of like the Red Sox, they've been around for a while being a contender, but I just think that eventually they have to sort of have a decline. I mean, it's not like this roster is extremely super talented. I mean, there's a lot of underrated pitching pieces they do have. They always been able to produce these very underrated pitching players, but I just don't know if lineup wise and star power wise, they really compare to the rest of this division. Going in 3rd place, I'm going to go with the Baltimore Orioles because I do like kind of the momentum they were riding off of last year. Granted, who knows if they are a wild card team? Who knows if they can slide in there? But I think that they kind of build off that momentum. As Chris has mentioned, a lot of good prospects coming up in that system. Adley Rutschman, who had a monster game today, by the way, going 5 for 5 with a home run and 4 RBIs. He's going to continue to be the centerpiece of this team. Orioles are going to do pretty good. 2nd place, once again, Toronto Blue Jays. They were my World Series prediction last year, and they had a pretty underwhelming year. Vlad Guerrero promised that it was going to be a movie, and it barely was even a trailer.
It's a horror movie.
Damn. But the Toronto Blue Jays had a pretty bad year, but I think that they're still going to kind of be, not kind of a 90 around the 90 range win team. They still have a lot of talent for sure. And I'm going to once again roll the New York Yankees in the 1st place because the Yankees have to win this division. Once again, they're a team that's built to win now. They went out and got Carlos Rodon for all that money, still paying a lot of these guys. I mean, where do they rank right now in payroll in baseball?
I want to say second.
Yeah, I believe the Mets are 1st. The Yankees are 2nd. So whenever you have the 2nd highest payroll in baseball, you should win your division. And I think the Yankees will do that. So that's what I'm rolling with right now. I'm going to go with the Yankees, Blue Jays, Orioles, Rays, and Red Sox. Now, to move this along, I'll start off for the AL Central. So taking a look at the AL Central here, it was kind of a division that really wasn't competitive last year. I mean, we had Cleveland as kind of the one team that came out of there. But, some of the teams kind of had underrated years. We saw the Tigers had a better year, I think, the most kind of expected last season. So let's get into it. So for my 5th place here, I'm going to go with the Kansas City Royals. Now, sure, you have Bobby Witt Jr. coming up in that system. You still have to wait to see how he develops, but I don't really see a lot of talent on this team immediately that can really, kind of contribute. I mean, we're looking at right now, Vinny Pasquantino is probably their first, second best hitter.
He's good.
Yeah, I mean, but once again, I don't think that really compares to what the rest of this division has. Coming in 4th place, I'm going to go with the Detroit Tigers. Now, like I said, they did kind of do a little bit better than people may have expected last year, but I still don't really think that they're ready yet. So I got Tigers in 4th. I mean, 3rd place, I think it's got to go to the Chicago White Sox. They had pretty good year a couple of years ago. I mean, they still got some talent on that team for sure. Dylan Cease kind of being their main, pitcher now, being their ace. But going in 2nd place, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins. Now, it was huge for them getting Carlos Correa back because many thought that was a 1-year rental. This is a team that a lot of people have been hyping up, possibly being able to overtake the division, but I don't think they will, as I'm going to have the Cleveland Guardians win the division. And I said this before in a previous show, I think the Guardians are kind of being underrespected to some degree. They were a team that, sure, they kind of did not play great divisional opponents last season, but once they got to the playoffs, I mean, they gave the Yankees all they could really handle. I mean, with the pitching prospects that this team has, having one of the best bullpens in the league, without a doubt. Stephen Kwan, who was the guy who emerged last year, Jose Ramirez still being the leader of that team. I think that Cleveland is a team that people are not giving a lot of credit. I think this is a team that can maybe even win 100 games this season. So I'm going to go with Cleveland to win the AL Central.
All right, so 4th and 5th, I have the Tigers and Royals.
Everyone should have that.
Right, I'm going to say Tigers in last, Royals in 4th.
Ouch.
I think the Royals, what the Royals have done at least is we know they're young players because they've played well. The Tigers, where's Spencer Torkelson? Whereas Riley Green was all right.
Casey Mize just had injury problems.
Right.
You saw Terry
Turnbull.
Skubal had an
he's been good.
He's
probably been their best
up and
pitcher.
down last season for sure.
Javi Baez is just withering away into irrelevancy.
What a trash contract.
This team is terrible. I think they're going to finish last and be one of the worst teams in baseball. Kansas City Royals, they're not a great team either, but they, at least, like I said, they have some young talent that has at least played well. In 3rd, I have the Chicago White Sox, very underwhelming last year and a very underwhelming offseason. They got Andrew Benintendi, and that was it. It's a good team overall, some great hitters, but I don't think they're going to, succeed the teams that are ahead of them. And while I do have respect for the Guardians, and I think they're a great team, and I think they will make the playoffs, I am going to say the Twins win this division. First of all, the Guardians, right, still a good team. They valued contact. Jose Ramirez is a phenomenal player. One of the best in baseball. Top 10, probably top 5 player in baseball, honestly, if we're being real. That guy is insane. They have guys like Stephen Kwan, Oscar Gonzalez in the lineup. They added Josh Bell, Andres Jimenez. They signed to an extension. The bullpen is incredible for them. The starting rotation is very solid. They have a great 1-2-3 with Bieber, McKenzie, and Quantrill. But I'm gonna say the Twins win this division. The Twins are a team last year. They almost won this division, right? Until like I believe it was like a September collapse. And the Guardians played very well at the end of the season. But the Twins, they brought in, they re-signed Carlos Correa. They also, some underrated moves, brought in Kyle Farmer, brought in Christian Vasquez to be the catcher. I believe they traded for Pablo Lopez. I mean, some good moves. Michael A. Taylor. And really, they have a good lineup already. Guys like Jose Miranda is a guy who I'm very high on as a young rookie, third baseman / first baseman. They have Sonny Gray and Joe Ryan, two solid pitchers to go behind Lopez. The bullpen has Joan Duran. I believe they added somebody else in the bullpen as well. But overall, it's a really good team. And the X factor for the Twins is Byron Buxton. That guy, plain and simple. I don't know if it was this show that I said it on or somewhere else. This guy, when you compare talent, he's the only person who's more talented in baseball is Shohei Ohtani. Now, the reason you don't know that, the reason why that sounds like a hot take, is because he never plays. He's never on the field. But this guy can literally do anything well. He can hit home runs to the third deck of that stadium Target Field. He can play as good a defense as anyone. He has a great arm. He honestly, it's not like a guy. He strikes out a bit, but he gets hits. I mean, the guy is incredible. The guy's an incredible player. So if he can stay healthy, this Minnesota's Twins team, I think they're going to win this division with flying colors. I really do.
Interesting. So my order is actually different than both of these guys. Fifth place. I'm going with Kansas City. I love Brad Keller, and they're at young-ish rotation that they have. But I think they're a little bit of a mess still. MJ Melendez, I'm very high on. But I feel like they're going to have a very underwhelming season. Fourth, I'm going to go with Detroit. Casey Mize, watch out for him, by the way. He's coming back from an injury. I feel like he's poised to have a big year with Scoot Ball and Matt Manning. I think is another guy you could watch out for in that rotation this year. In third place, this is where it gets interesting. I'm going Cleveland. Yes, I'm going Cleveland in third. Now, this division is going to be much tighter than people make it out to be. I love Bieber. I love Tristan McKenzie, who's going to come back from injury eventually. Aaron Savali, Cal Quantrill. I love them. I don't like that offense at all. Yes, it's bold to say that. I think this offense is going to be a little bit underwhelming this year. I feel like there's a lot of guys that you like on this team. Quan, Jimenez, Josh Bell, I think it was someone you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys to like. But if they get hurt, and I feel like this is going to happen, where's the depth coming from? I don't think they're the deep enough offensive team to make it that far. They're going to get around 83, 86 wins. I think 87 wins this division, and you'll see who I pick for that in a moment. In second, this one's really hard because I think the White Sox are going to come back from their down year. I mean, with they got a manager change, didn't they?
Yeah, it did. I don't know his name.
I don't even know who it is, but I think that's going to be good enough.
Not Tony La Russa.
It's not Tony La Russa. I think he held them back big time.
Oh yeah, he was terrible.
And I think a big comeback year from two key pieces will get Chicago over the top. Minnesota finishes in second by 1 game. I love Minnesota. I think Correa coming back is great. Buxton, I think he can stay healthy. He can be an MVP candidate. But I think Chicago gets their bounce back. I'm very high on this team. Dylan Cease is an underrated AL Cy Young winner. I think Michael Kopech coming back as a back-end rotation guy. Kendall Graveman, I think he's going to have a big year. When Liam Hendricks returns, I think he's still one of the best closers in the game. And I think if that offense stays healthy, that's the big factor with them as well. They're not deep either, but I love their firepower, especially the outfield if Jimenez, Robert, and Benintendi stay healthy. Watch out. I think Chicago can make a big, underrated push for how underwhelming they were last year. But let's head out west with the AL West. And fifth, I think everyone across the country will have this on the board. Sorry, Oakland, you're terrible. Fifth place goes to Oakland. They will be, in my prediction, the worst team in baseball, and it will not be close. They are the new Marlins. Get used to it. But if they get some prospects, maybe they can do something. But yeah, they didn't win the Sean Murphy trade at all.
Oh no.
Total L by them. Fourth place, this is where it gets very interesting because I literally, when I was making these predictions last night, I was very in between on LA and Texas. Because DeGrom's getting rocked by Philadelphia right now, I'm gonna say fourth place is Texas again. I think they did make some good moves. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They made some good moves. But if you're getting absolutely rocked with Jacob DeGrom on the mound, that's a problem.
Well, I would like to cut you off there because they
Yeah.
just tied the game 5-5.
Oh, actually.
But again, of course.
Yeah,
that's,
no, but
that's,
like
that's,
5
that's
runs
with
with Jacob DeGrom.
You're right.
I think he's gonna. How many injuries he's had? I think this could be maybe a down year from DeGrom. I mean, I like Nathan Eovaldi getting added to that rotation. I think they've taken the right steps, but they're not in contention yet. Third place, Angels. Your rotation is a mess. I still think Ohtani is fantastic. What else is there? Patrick Sandoval's all right. Will he get you over the top though? I don't know. I believe he is their opening day starter, is Patrick Sandoval, but
Not sure.
I think
it's Ohtani.
the left. I think it is Patrick Sandoval. I think Ohtani's pitching tomorrow.
Maybe.
But if they use Patrick Sandoval, I like him as a left-hander. I think he's a very underrated starting pitcher. I think he's going to be a good fit for you to have him in fantasy. I think he's a very good fit as a left-handed starting pitcher. Second place, I'm going to go Seattle. I love Seattle. I think J-Rod's going to have a big year. That's my underrated AL MVP pick is J-Rod. I think he had I'll call it an underwhelming World Baseball Classic. He made that big mistake in one of the games in the DR Puerto Rico game that really changed that game completely. But I think Seattle's poised for another big year, 90 plus wins. Don't be surprised if they get 90 plus wins again. And then the division winner, and this will be closer than people expected to be. I'm going to say the Houston Astros. They did lose some pieces with Verlander, but I still think that rotation with guys like Valdez, Garcia, I still think McCullers, I think is injured right now. I still think that rotation is one step better than Seattle. The pitching that they have, one step better than Seattle. The offense, one step, almost a full step better than Seattle. I think their offenses are very similar, but I like Houston's chances better, the more experienced team. I think this is going to be another good year from Houston. But I'm interested to see if they make the playoffs and win this division. I'm interested to see how they look in the playoffs with the loss of Verlander having that major postseason experience.
Okay, well, my picks. Last place is the Oakland A's easily. They're the worst team in baseball. They will be the worst team in baseball. There's no question about it. They are absolutely terrible. They have no fans. They have a terrible stadium that always has infestations and is apparently just not a good place to watch a baseball game. There's no, they have some nice little young players, Shea Langeliers. That's about the only thing I could think of, honestly.
They have somebody
else. Some young pitching, but no, they're not good. They need to get out of Oakland immediately. They need to go to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is just simply waiting for them. The sooner that happens, the better that organization will be. The sooner that organization will be competent and back to its historic self, because it's a historic organization. It's one of the top organizations in baseball. They need to get back to that, but they're not going to get back to that right now. They're terrible. Fourth place, I'm going to go with the Angels. I agree. Listen, I think they had a decent little offseason. They brought in Brandon Drury. They brought in Tyler Anderson, the starting pitcher.
That's not enough, though.
Exactly. And they're such a disappointing team. It seems like, for years they've heard how disappointing they were, and they continue to make the same mistakes, right? I mean, I say they make the same mistakes. I don't know what this team needs. They've tried every strategy. I think they just got to rebuild, maybe. I mean,
what they have done wrong. Remember when they signed Anthony Rendon?
Right. Yeah.
Do you remember what that team needed?
It's pitching.
Starting pitching.
Right. They couldn't get Cole.
Do you remember what they did? 1 year rentals.
Right.
One.
Yeah. No, you're
1
right.
year rentals. With Dylan Bundy, and I don't even know who else was there, to be honest. Oh, Julio Teheran and probably another ex-Braves pitcher. That's a big thing with them now. What did they do the next year? Same idea. And again and again and again and again. That's the difference between you want to contend, fix the dang starting pitching. That's the difference between a contender. If you want to be the Angels, that's just the problem that the owner, Artie Moreno, has. He wants those big names. And I think the Angels will start to attract less people for how big of contracts they've given out. Oh, I'll say over the past 12 years. with not. I mean, Trout looks all right. I think the Trout contract's not going to come back to haunt them. Will Arias Ohtani? I think that's the question they're going to have all year. But I forgot to mention. But I just think that problems with Artie Moreno throwing out these giant exorbitant contracts. How much
No,
is
you're
Rendon
right.
making a year? 30 million plus.
It's terrible.
That's
But
atrocious.
I think my argument to that would be then they do things like this. They'll have to develop Patrick Sandoval and Reed Detmers as a young pitcher, and they'll sign Tyler Anderson to this 3-year deal. But I don't think it's enough. And I think with this team, honestly, what it needs, if you ask me, is just a complete overhaul. I mean, I just a complete rebuild maybe because Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani are not getting any younger, and they're just going to want Shohei Ohtani is going to get a huge contract soon. So I don't know. You're going to put all your money towards them and have this mediocre team around them. It's just not. There's not enough there. There really isn't enough, and I think that's what they need. But I don't think the solutions are going to come this year. I think they're going to come in 4th place. 3rd place, they have the Texas Rangers. They had as big an offseason as you could possibly imagine. They bring in Jacob deGrom. They brought in Andrew Heaney and Nathan Eovaldi. They hired Bruce Bochy to be their manager, who's as experienced of a winning manager as you can have in the game right now. But I just think it's going to take some more time for this team to win. I don't think I don't think it really works, adding a bunch of free agents and expecting them to mesh with the guys who are there and have a good chemistry. I'm not saying the chemistry is going to be poor, but it's going to be difficult to mesh and create that winning culture in Texas. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it will start, but I just think even then, right, the teams that are ahead of them, the Mariners coming in second, the Astros coming in first, are way better. The Mariners are as good of a team as you can find. They really are. They have all types of hitters. They have contact hitters, power hitters, balanced hitters. They have a great catcher in Cal Raleigh. And I know that sounds weird why I highlight him over everyone else in the lineup, but he's a good power hitter behind the plate. That's something not a lot of teams have. They have very good pitching. They have Luis Castillo for a full year now. They have a very solid bullpen overall. Andres Munoz is a great young closer. But I think the Astros are going to win this division, and I don't think there's much debate. I think they're just the experienced team. They always win. They're probably going to win another World Series this year. They're just incredible. They didn't need to add anybody. They replaced Justin Verlander with a 21-year-old Justin Verlander, Hunter Brown. And he's probably going to be really good for them. They are. I think they deserve it. I think they need their flowers. They are. They know how to develop a baseball team. They're going to win the division.
Okay, so I'll go now. So 5th place, obviously, Oakland Athletics. I think is clear the worst team in baseball. They're basically just tearing everything down. If anything, I think most people are just waiting for when they eventually move to Las Vegas and become the Las Vegas Athletics. So, yeah, going to be a down year for them. They finish in last place. 4th place, going to go Texas Rangers. Now, I do like how they kind of have that mantra of spending big. They spent on Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, and Jacob deGrom. I really appreciate the fact that they're trying to be competitive, but I just don't think it's enough to really kind of vault them above the other teams in this division. Jacob deGrom, he obviously has all those injury concerns, so I'm not really expecting too much from him. 3rd place, going to go with the Los Angeles Angels. Now, obviously, you love the talent with Trout and Ohtani. The additions are going to come in there. I think the Hunter Renfroe is going to play a big role in that team, but ultimately, you never know if they're ever going to eventually get to the wild card game. Can they ever be a playoff team with Trout there? I mean, this looks like it may be Ohtani's last year there, so they have to kind of capitalize now. So maybe they could be players at the trade deadline if they start, winning more games. So I like them for 3rd place. 2nd place, going to go with the Houston Astros. The reason why I'm going to say this is because Jose Altuve is already going to be out for a month of an injury. I think that this team, they're very experienced, yes, but they're also getting up there in age. I think we're going to see a lot of injuries with this team going forward. Now, this is not me saying that the Houston Astros are the 2nd best team in this division. I just think that over the course of this regular season, I think that they're going to have their ups and downs. I think it's going to be kind of bumpy. Come playoff time, we all know what the Houston Astros are. We all know that they're one of the, probably the most experienced, best team in the league. But I'm just going to say that they finished 2nd place, and I'm going with the young Seattle Mariners to win this division. This should surprise everyone because I'm expecting a huge year out of Julio Rodriguez. I think that, building off the momentum of last year, he batted about 280. I think he might even be an MVP contender for this season. I really like what Julio is doing in Seattle. So I'm going to take Seattle winning that division. Now, we have almost 20 minutes left in the show, so we kind of need to speed up our NL predictions. So I'm going to start off with the NL East. So looking at the NL, obviously, last place, I think that's pretty obvious that will go to the Miami Marlins. Now, I'm sorry. Wait, did I?
Yeah, I was about to say. You're not picking the Nationals?
Oh, I forgot about the Nationals. I apologize to our viewers.
I think everyone's forgot about the Nationals for how irrelevant they're.
Yeah, because it was just 3 years ago this team won a World Series, but I mean, those days are long gone now. So yeah, Nationals, not a lot of talent there. They're going to finish in last place. Fourth place going to go to Miami Marlins. Obviously, Sandy Alcantara, Jazz Chisholm have their excitement, but they don't really compete with the big boys in this division. Third place, sorry, Robbie, New York Mets. Justin Verlander, once again, injury concerns. This could still be a wild card team. Maybe can sneak in there as the last team, but once again, this team, spends a lot of money, adds so much talent, but they really just can't seem to be what everyone hopes them to be, especially with Edwin Diaz now out for the year due to the WBC injury. It's going to be some struggles, but I think they're still a playoff team. Second place, I'm really struggling with this, but I'm going to go with the Phillies. Now, I like the Phillies. They obviously going to the World Series last year, but you have to remember where the Phillies were before that postseason run started. They were the third place team in that division. Not a lot of people really were expecting them to do that much, but they went on that impressive run. And, adding in Trey Turner is only going to make them better. But I think that kind of the regular season concerns for this team are still going to continue. Obviously the rotation, I'm sure it'll get better, but the pitching's always been kind of a question with them. We'll see what happens there going forward. But first place is going to go with the Atlanta Braves. I think they're the most well-rounded team, have the most talent. Ronald Acuna, Michael Harris, who's been had been really kind of emerging for them. So yeah, that's how I'm going to go right now.
All right, so no need to talk about the Nationals. Marlins coming in fourth place. Good little team, good pitching, good hitting. I like that they added Arias, or the hitting's not great, but I like that they added Arias, and they have some nice little bats in there as well. This is where it gets interesting. I think the National League East has the best divisional competition up there with the NL West. I do think the AL East is the better overall division because every team can make a case for making a playoff spot, honestly, even the Red Sox. But I think this competition is very crazy. In third place, I have the Phillies.
Oof.
First of all, we have to understand this team won 88 games last year, right? They just snuck in the playoffs. They were the last team to do it. They're overall, or they're known for being a very inconsistent team. They're losing to the Texas Rangers right now. They were just winning 5-0. Take that team in the regular season and add Trey Turner and Taijuan Walker. They're big moves. They're big moves, and they've shown that they could win the postseason. But I'm gonna need it in a full 162 game season to, assume that this team is going to make the World Series again. Not to mention Bryce Harper is going to be out for a little bit. I don't know how long exactly, but he's going to be out for I would say at least a month, or maybe a little more, maybe a little less. I'm not sure, but still, I think the Mets losing Verlander to that injury that is devastating. That's demoralizing. But you still have Max Scherzer. You still have Tyler McGill, Kodai Senga. We got to see what he can do. David Peterson's a solid young pitcher. The Mets with the injuries, right? It's really hurting them. It really is. But the hitting is still there. No one in the lineup really got hurt. You got to expect that lineup to be good. I mean, I'm thinking about it again. Yeah, it's tough for the Mets. I know the Phillies are definitely becoming the favorites coming second, but I don't know. I think what the Mets did last year, winning 100 games with this team, just minus Edwin Diaz, I think David Robertson will be all right in the closer role. For the rest of the season, the bullpen, you can add some bullpen come the trade deadline. Maybe Alexis Diaz. In first place, I'm easily going to the Atlanta Braves. Like Colin said, they're the most well-rounded team. They didn't add anybody. They lost Kenley Jansen. They're still great. I mean, they still have AJ Minter in the bullpen. They still got Acuna and Riley and Olsen and Michael Harris, and just the list goes on in the lineup. And then the rotation, despite Max Fried getting hurt today, Steven Strider still a great pitcher in there, and they're a great team. I think they're going to win this division again.
All right, I'll keep it rolling real quick. Fourth and fifth place, I have Marlins in fourth, Nationals in fifth. I think the Nationals have a little bit of potential with Josiah Gray and Kyber Ruiz, but that's not even close to enough to be competitive. Fourth place Marlins, Sandy Alcantara is that guy, but I don't think they really have anything else to really help him. Trading Pablo Lopez, I thought was a mistake. I think knowing that Pablo Lopez was not going to re-sign with you in the offseason, I think is an issue for the Marlins as a team, because I don't even know how they're keeping some of these players at this point. But third place, I wanted to say Atlanta originally, because I think Atlanta is going to underachieve again, but I can't do it. Third place, this was my team to win the division. I think now looking back at it more, they're going to underachieve. Third place, Philadelphia. I really wanted to pick them to win the division. I did. I think Trey Turner is an underdog pick for the MVP. I think he's going to have a breakout year, going over 100 RBI, stealing tons of bases, playing remarkable defense at shortstop. But I can't do it. I think Aaron Nola looking this bad, I'm like, that's a problem. Granted, he's giving me -3 fantasy points, but that's besides the fact. think Zach Wheeler's going to have a good season as well. The rest of the rotation, I don't know. They added Taiwan Walker, which a little bit of a snake move, betraying the Mets and going to a division rival. I think, I don't know. I think the top three are going to be separated by like less than 5 games. Second place, this was originally going to be the Mets, and it's sticking with the Mets. They're going to lose by 2 games. Mets finishing second. Kodai Senga, I think, is phenomenal. The injury to Verlander, I think, was going to be. I expected something like this early on. It's just the little Mets. That's just what the team is. They're turning into a meme, and I hate it.
Yeah,
they are a meme, but at the same time, I think Lindor, Pete Alonso, I think they're going to have a good year as well. Brandon Nimmo, I think, is going to have a solid season as well. I don't know. I mean, the pitching depth's an issue. I think Tyler McGill starting games again. I think he's going to be solid until Verlander comes back. But I don't know. I mean, I think David Peterson in the rotation's an issue. He's so mid. I don't even want to talk about him anymore. And moving on, Atlanta wins this division by 2 games. Spencer Strider's overrated. I don't like him. He throws 2 pitches. I don't know how people don't hit this guy. But I think he had an overrated first few months. I think he's going to have a down season. Kyle Wright is going to emerge for them. That's my big starter prediction. I think Max Fried going down to that's who it went down to, right? Max Fried?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. When does Soroka come back?
Soon. He should. He's in the minors.
I think Soroka, will have that bounce back year from the injury. I think Atlanta wins by 2 games. Moving on to the NL Central, last place. I understand Hunter Green goes absolute gas. That rotation's awful. Lineup is awful. Cincinnati finishes in last. It's gonna be close though. It's gonna be like teams tanking for the first pick for real. But in fourth, I wanted to say Chicago. I can't do it. Chicago actually won a game. Pittsburgh finishes in fourth. They have potential, sort of. I mean, maybe, I guess, but there's not really much to talk about with them. Third place, I'm going with Milwaukee. Now, here's why. Their rotation is good. They got absolutely killed by Marcus Stroman. That's inexcusable. And granted, it's opening day, but Corbin Burns getting rocked by this underwhelming Cubs lineup, I'll say. I mean, I think they're all right, but I don't know. I don't think a team like Milwaukee should get outclassed by Marcus Stroman that badly. Even though despite the game being very quick and very probably nice for a lot of fans, but I think that's really disappointing. Second place, I'm going Chicago. I think they have potential. It's just that it's not going to be enough to dethrone St. Louis. St. Louis wins this division by 15 games. I think St. Louis is going to run away with this. I just think they have too much star power. Adding Wilson Contreras to replace Yadier Molina, I think was incredible and game-changing to what St. Louis needed. Because granted, Yadier Molina, the big name, exactly what they needed. They needed someone who can hit behind the plate, and they finally did it. Finally. Getting rid of Yadi, I think, will add tons to that offense. Granted, they lose a little bit of defense, but really with the Cardinals, you have enough defense with Nolan Arenado at third. I don't think anything else needs to be said. Cardinals win this division. It's not going to be close. Chris.
All right, so
you have to get it moving though a little bit.
Last, I have the Cincinnati Reds. Not much to talk about there. They have Hunter Green in the rotation. Like you said, no one else. The Pirates, they're decent. Look, I know they're not a great team. They're going to be one of the worst teams of baseball for sure. But they have Neil Cruz. They have Brian Hayes. They have some nice little players. Brian Reynolds. Some good players, but not enough. Third place, the Brewers. Look, the Brewers are a sneaky team. I had them as a potential wild card contender. But I just don't. Yeah, it's one game against the Cubs. I mean, last year they did the same thing on opening day. Corbin Burns kind of got rocked by the Cubs in Wrigley, and he did it again. He's still a phenomenal pitcher. Brandon Woodruff is terrific. I hope Christian Yelich can have a bounce back year. I liked the addition of Jesse Winker, but overall, I don't think it's enough because I have the Cubs coming in second. The Cubs are my surprise team in Major League Baseball this season. I know a few weeks ago, I made it seem like the Cubs were like a World Series contender. Obviously not, but a very nice little team. When you look at what this team did, you can't tell me that they are not a wild card contender. You have Dansby Swanson, who today had 3 hits. You have Cody Bellinger. I don't know what he did today, but I know he's definitely a comeback candidate. Ian Happ is there. Seiya Suzuki. The rotation. Stroman's a very good pitcher. Jameson Tyon's a very good pitcher. Hayden Wesneski and Javier Assad are very good young pitchers. The bullpen, they added Michael Fulmer, who was good today, and Brad Boxberger. Not great names overall. And you look even more. I mean, There are more names here that I mean, I'm not going to go down the whole lineup, but if you take a look at the roster, it's a good lineup. It's a really good lineup. There's a good player at every position. But in first place, they have the St. Louis Cardinals. They had a disappointing first round exit against the Phillies last year, but I had that team going to the World Series. I had that team winning the World Series last year. All they did this year was add Contreras behind the plate. And they still the rotation lacks a true ace. I think that's a concern. The bullpen is solid with guys like Helsley and Gallegos. The lineup is terrific, but they really got to add an ace because what they have is like 5-3 starters.
Yeah.
So they need that ace to get through the playoffs. But I have the Cubs. Cubs are my team to really watch. I think the Cubs could win this division.
All right, so 5th place, Pittsburgh Pirates. 4th place, Cincinnati Reds. 3rd place, Chicago Cubs. 2nd place, going to go with the Brew Crew. And 1st place, going to go with the Cardinals. Clearly think they're the best team in this division. They showed it last year, but we have less than 10 minutes. We need to get to our awards. So quickly move into the NL West. Going to go with the Colorado Rockies in last place there. Arizona Diamondbacks have a good young team. Corbin Carroll's going to, be a big contributor there. Got them in 4th place. Going to go with the Giants in 3rd place. They were, the best team in the league, had the best record just a couple of years ago. Think that they'll, kind of have a little bit of resurgence. 2nd place, going to go with the Dodgers. I think that the Padres are going to win this division just because of the fact that, they've been big spenders, a lot of key additions, a lot of star power. So that's what I'm going to go with. Padres winning the division.
Same. I got the Padres winning the division. It's crazy because the Dodgers, they can lose Trey Turner and they're still a World Series contender. They bring in JD Martinez. They have a very good team. I just think the Padres added so much. They're not very deep, and they can struggle against some of these teams. Right, a few losses against the Dodgers could hurt them. The Dodgers could win this division, but I think the Padres are going to win it. The rest of the teams, the Diamondbacks got a good young team, but I just think the Giants are going to have a better season, and the Rockies are going to finish last. They're not that good at all.
5th place, we're going to go Colorado. 4th place, we're going with the Giants. They'll be the biggest disappointing team this year.
I don't think
after losing. Now, here's why. I love the young core in Arizona. I really do. However, I think San Francisco, with the meme of losing Judge and Correa.
Oh, okay.
I think
that's
just the storyline of their season. They're going to fall behind barely behind Arizona. I think Arizona is going to have a sneaky solid season. Corbin Carroll will be my rookie of the year. We'll go into that in a second. 2nd place, I'm going to go with the Dodgers, and the Padres win this division by 2 games again. I think this is perfect for them. The rotation, I don't know about. I like the Dodgers rotation better. I love their lineup. Their lineup off the charts, world class. Juan Soto, underrated. I'm going to say underrated because he's actually a terrible rating in MLB The Show. I think he's like an 89 or something, which is disrespectful as all heck. But time for the awards. And then we'll go to our World Series picks for our April edition World Series picks. I'll go on my 2 Rookie of the Year picks real quick, and then we'll go with each of our Rookie of the Year picks. AL Rookie of the Year, I'm going Gunnar Henderson of Baltimore. I think he has a phenomenal future in Baltimore. I think he's going to be their everyday shortstop. I have the feeling that New York is going to try to play IKF at short a lot. I have a weird feeling about it. I love Anthony Volpe. Will he play more than Gunnar Henderson? That's just my question about it. But I think Gunnar Henderson is going to have a sneaky good year. Wins Rookie of the Year. Barely over Anthony Volpe. What's your pick, Chris?
I'm gonna go with Anthony Volpe. Of course I am. Listen, I love Gunnar Henderson as a player. I think he's gonna be incredible, definitely in the future, and maybe definitely this year. But Anthony Volpe, the way he has gotten to play shortstop for the Yankees, right? It was a competition. He made that competition very easy decision for the Yankees. I think that's going to translate into this season. He had 3 mature at bats. He didn't look, despite swinging for the fences a few times. I think he'll adjust. I think he'll be calm. I think he'll be a great presence to his team, and I think this team's going to go places because of him. I'm gonna say Anthony Volpe.
What's your NL?
And now I'm also going to go Corbin Carroll. I think he's can't miss prospect. He is incredible. The Diamondbacks already gave him like a 8-year contract. He's played like 20 games with them. Yeah. He's incredible. He's unbelievable. He can do everything. He can play defense. He can run. He can do it for power, average. Yeah, he's an incredible player. Remember that name. He's going to be an MVP candidate in a few years. I'm going Corbin Carroll.
Yeah, I think NL obvious Corbin Carroll, and for the AL, I'm going to go with Anthony Volpe. I think that being in that big contending team in New York, being able to really go in there, kind of being the fusion to that lineup, I say Anthony Volpe has a big year, Rookie of the Year.
Let's go to our Cy Young predictions. I AL, I wanted to pick Shane McClanahan. I really wanted to pick Shane McClanahan. I love him. Phenomenal lefty, underrated stuff. He's top of all the charts. Tampa Bay, I don't know if they're going to. I don't think he's going to do it. I don't think Tampa's going to let him pitch enough. I have that weird feeling about that. Again, my Cy Young Award winner will be Shohei Ohtani. I think he's going to have that year. He's going to stay healthy for an entire season, look really good, and get paid $60 million next year. National League. Once again, I wanted to pick Max Scherzer. I wanted to pick a Mets player. I don't know. I mean, there's not really like many good ones. So I'm just gonna throw out a name that I think can be really good. Another name I wanted to say for underrated would be Aaron Nola. He got lit up. He's lost my vote. I'm gonna say Corbin Burns. He's gonna have a good year, and Milwaukee's gonna underachieve. Corbin Burns was my NL Cy Young this year.
Winning the AL Cy Young, I'm actually gonna pick Garrett Cole. I understand today. Yeah, I understand today. It was just one day, and that's why I also don't think it's fair to judge Aaron Nola for one day, opening day, right? Like the Cardinals just tied the game against the Blue Jays. Alek Manoah was my pick to win the Cy Young before Garrett Cole. I think he's gonna have a great season as well. But Garrett Cole, it's not just what he showed today. I just think in general, right, I think he's been waiting for this moment. I think for years he's been trying to win his Cy Young, and he's always fell short. I think it's going to be a close race between him and Manoah. But now I think I'm going to go with Garrett Cole to finally win his Cy Young.
So National League, I'm going to go with Corbin Burns. That's a big reason why I like the Brewers coming in second place in that division. Love their pitching. Obviously, the lineup's still a concern. I'm going to go with Burns to win in the AL. And for the American League, I'm going to make a pretty bold prediction here. I'm going to go with New York's very own Nestor Cortez Jr.
Ooh,
And,
I love it.
Obviously Garrett Cole would be a popular choice in New York, but the way I see Nestor, is a guy who really goes under the radar. I mean, it's even seemed like the Yankees may even pitch him fifth in their rotation. I don't know what they're doing. This guy has clearly been the most consistent pitcher for them, having about, I believe it was a 2.60 ERA last season. Really just what's the main thing with me with Nestor, he's really just always been able to defy the odds. And I think that he'll just continue to do that. He's only getting better as we go on here. People really question, can this guy be a full year starter? Guess what? He proved that and more. He even went in the playoffs against Cleveland, won that game 5. Really big sleeper pick, Nestor Cortez Jr. You can mark it here. You can record it, save it, whatever you want. Nestor Cortez will win the AL Cy Young.
That'd be awesome.
Another pick I was also debating about him picking with the NL Cy Young. I'm surprised no one said this name was Sandy Alcantara. I think he could be another contender, but we'll go to the MVPs. Mine one for the National League. This is a very unpopular. I think it's a little bit of an unpopular pick. Trey Turner wins the National League MVP. It's gonna be very close. I love Trey Turner. I think he's a great fit in Philly. He's gonna have a breakout season. And in the American League, oh boy, there's a lot of options. I want to pick Shohei, but I can't do it. I'm going with Aaron Judge. Yes, a Mets fan picked Aaron Judge. What a surprise. Aaron Judge is that guy. He's proven to be that guy. And while I do think the Yankees will underachieve in the playoffs again, I still think Aaron Judge is going to take them to that next level, or try to take them to that next level. So Aaron Judge wins the MVP. And by the way, it won't be close.
Well, first of all, I'd actually forgot to pick my National League Cy Young. I'm going to go with Zach Wheeler. I think I think he's a guy for years. He's all similar to Cole. He's been knocking on that door, winning this NL Cy Young, but he's always fell short. I think it was 2021. Just 2 years ago. I think he deserved it. He had the most innings pitched, and it was incredible. But I'm going to go with the National League MVP. I'm going to pick Manny Machado. And he's a guy who, you look at his numbers, one of the best players in baseball, plain and simple. Also, probably top 10, definitely top 10, arguably top 5, depending on who you value more, him or Ramirez. He's going to be incredible, and the Padres' success is going to be due to Manny Machado's success. If he does not succeed, the team is probably not going to succeed, even with the other stars that they have. American League, I know this is the easy choice. This is kind of, the obvious choice. I'm going to go with Shohei Ohtani. It's kind of difficult to beat Shohei Ohtani. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. had phenomenal season a few years ago. He didn't beat Shohei Ohtani. It took Aaron Judge's historic season to beat him. I'm not sure if that's going to happen this year. I'm going to go with Shohei Ohtani to win it.
I can't believe the Yankees fan has more doubts about Aaron Judge than the Mets fan.
All right, so National League, I like Chris's idea of going with the Padres for this, but instead I'm going to go with Juan Soto. I think Juan Soto, had a down year last year. I think he's going to really show everyone why he is that generational outfielder. I think he's going to have a great hitting year, win the MVP. American League, I'm gonna go with Julio Rodriguez. I wanted to go with Jose Ramirez because he's a guy who's like kind of Chris has been knocking on the door for a while. But I think the Mariners gonna have a huge year. I think that Julio Rodriguez at 22 years old will win the American League MVP.
All right, last question of the day. I'm gonna make my pick last. Your World Series and your World Series winner is who?
It's tough. Listen, I am going to say, and you can call me crazy. I know I literally just not doubted this team, but I literally talked about just a few minutes ago how I don't pick underrated teams to go all the way. I'm gonna say that the Houston Astros, that's not my underrated team, will face the Chicago Cubs in the World Series.
What? Dog, not NL Central, man. What the heck is this?
All right, now if you want my serious pick, I'm gonna go San Diego Padres.
Good.
But
that makes more sense.
But okay, because let's be real here. Let's be okay. But let's be real here. Who would have thought the Phillies were going to go to the World Series after last year? No, but I'm saying at the beginning of the season, who would have picked the Phillies? I'm just saying. Oh, okay. Oh, Colin just missed it. There's a man walking around in a T-Rex outfit.
That's how you end our screen. I love that.
I don't know what's going on anymore. All right, Padres are going to face the Astros in the World Series, but you know what? I'm just so high on the Cubs this season. I think that I'm going to say watch out for them to have an underrated postseason run.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the Padres in the National League. I think they're the most well-rounded team. And I'm also going to go with, they say that insanity is, repeating the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. You know what? The Yankees are finally going to the World Series. Yeah, but they really won't. But they're finally going to go to the World Series. Yankees versus Padres. The Yankees, unfortunately, lose to the Padres. I know Robbie's going to get the last word here, but since we've been talking about baseball all day, just want to say, what is this Final Four? San Diego State, FAU, UConn going there. Kind of really strange Final Four, but excited to see what happens there. Robbie, take it away.
All right, your National League winner. I really wanted to pick the Mets. I don't have enough dignity in myself to pick the Mets. Your National League winner. The Dodgers win the National League. Yes, the Dodgers win the National League. They will beat the Padres in the playoffs. Because I think in the playoffs, they will get revenge. Walker Buehler being healthy. I think a healthy rotation will beat the Padres. The winner of the American League. I wanted to pick Seattle. I did. I wanted to pick Seattle. I wanted to pick the Blue Jays. I wanted to pick the Yankees. But at the end of the day, the Astros will not beat Seattle. Seattle wins the American League after finishing in second. And LA wins the World Series. I know everyone will hate that World Series, but it's going to be one of the most interesting World Series. It's the Battle of the West Coast, and the Dodgers take it in 7. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this very interesting episode of Into the Stands. By the way, March Madness, watch it this weekend. Saturday and Monday, the Final Four. But that's it for us. Remember, mark your calendars. April 27th at 7 o'clock, we start this stream, and we won't stop till the first round ends. For the guys here, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Into the Stands. But for Colin and Chris, I'm Robbie Basil. We're signing off for now. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Let's go Yankees, but I'm telling you, watch out for those Cubs. Watch out for those Chicago Cubs. You can come back to this.